Hi guys and girls, this is Claudia here from Euroblast 2019 in Cologne. Thanks for being here, Voyager.
Thanks for having us.
And like I said before the interview, your new album has such a nice title, Colors in the Sun. Who decided on that, or who?
It's kind of a group decision because we reached the point of writing the record and we were kind of thumbing through lyrics to find something that sounded cool for a title. And actually the song that we released, Colors, was originally called Colors in the Sun, and we really liked that as an album title because it sort of captured what we wanted to represent the record with. And so we decided to swap the name out for Colors and chose to call the record Colors in the Sun. And it's supposed to reflect a mixture of different cultures coming together and producing something new and interesting, I guess.
Our manager loved us for that. She's like, okay, so you want to announce the album Colors in the Sun on the same day you release the film clip for Colors. Great, that's not confusing at all.
You will get it. I'm sure people will get it. So when you're writing, then how do you go about deciding for, first of all, the songs, which parts go where, and is there someone saying, okay, I take the final decision, or are you really democratic?
Pretty democratic.
There were a lot of Facebook polls on this record saying, like, should we do this part here? Yes, 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 no. Okay, majority rules, that's going there. That's honestly the only way we can solve it sometimes.
Yeah, I think Danny tends to come up with a lot of the initial structure of a tune, and then we sort of build our pieces into it. But there were multiple times on this album where that was actually Colors. Me and Ash wrote the back half of that song because we kind of hit a brick wall with writing. So the way that we tend to work is sort of a mixed bag where some songs are born of a single riff or a single idea, and some other songs are born of like a bunch of different ideas that Danny's put together, or like a chorus or something. So there's really no set structure in how we write, but I think that that's kind of cool because it keeps things fresh and interesting, and it means that we're constantly kind of what's the word I'm looking for? We sort of impress each other with ideas. We go, oh, that's a cool, I would never have thought of doing that, And so it's kind of like the amalgamation of five brains kind of helps.
Our biggest trick, if it's not working, is to wait for one or two people to go home. And then all of a sudden it comes together again.
Sometimes it just works when there's only a couple of us in the room. Like either me and Scott will go off and work on something at his place, or other times it might just be Ash, Alex and Danny, or any sort of combination, and then that when we've been hit in a rut and we can't figure something out, somehow it just comes together after that. But other times the five of us are in the room and magic just happens. And we all just come up with ideas and we're like, wow, that was really easy. Pretty much.
We actually do have a voice recorder like we're doing right now the whole time, because we're such an ADD band where we're like, oh, maybe we could do this, let's do that, and we're like 3 ideas ahead of ourselves before we have to strip it back and go, wait, what were we actually working on?
What happened? What did you play here?
What was that riff that you played 15 minutes ago? It's a lot like that too. So having the voice recorder there just constantly is really useful, just to track ideas immediately.
So besides the recorder that's going along with you, is there any sort of software stuff you're using? Do you type stuff in? Do you record? Do you have a track?
We do. I mean, I guess part of our writing process is to go back to our respective studios and record some demos. And we kind of do that as we go. We don't do it at the end of a writing process. We sort of will demo like half a song and go, okay, now that we can kind of hear it as a rough recording, we can sit back as listeners and listen to it and go, okay, what does this need? But in terms of like while we're in the room jamming, not really. Like we have a playback, but the playback only happens once we've actually gone to the studio to put the ideas down. So not really. No, our jams are pretty old school in that respect.
The only time is like Danny has written like a verse and chorus. Like sometimes he'll come in with like a third of a song or something, or a quarter of a song, and we work on that and then add on to that. But that's the only time really that anything comes in with the keys and vocals already on it. So
We're not a very tech band at all.
No.
You don't have to be, right?
we are not tech savvy.
We just don't want it. We just don't want any part of it. 'Cause it's,
So for the parts that are electric,
yeah. I mean, once we actually have everything written, then we can go to town on it in the studio.
Yeah.
But yeah, prior to that, it's kind of more just jamming.
It's practical concern as well,
Yeah,
because
sure.
anything we have to do, we're always thinking about we've got to take this on tour.
Yeah.
And when you're flying internationally, which you always have to do coming from Australia, you're thinking, okay, I've got to fit this all into 30 kilos.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very,
So
very
what do you bring along?
guitars, you bring what, snare and cymbals?
This time I just bought cymbals and kick pedals.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah.
And me and Simone have now moved over to the Helix Stomp, the Line 6, which is just a tiny little box, which is amazing.
Works
Like
so
we're
good.
on the Axifexes. Well, that's it.
Literally, like everything fits in my pedal train bag.
That's
Yeah.
so good.
That's my rig, and I've got like a little mini Mesa Boogie head that I can take on as carry on.
Yeah.
So it only weighs 5 kilos. Like this tiny little 25
Nobody's tossing
head.
it around, you're sure,
No,
because you
and
take
I
it
know
with
it's
you.
with me, and it's not going to get absolutely
It's a good-
destroyed.
Yeah, because I mean, we were on the Axifexes before and we loved them, but they were constantly getting smashed by baggage handlers. So we just couldn't handle it anymore. And
Yeah.
plus having 2 less rack cases to carry around is a bit of a bonus too. So
Could help.
yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, definitely.
So when you're touring, do you get to see a lot of other bands, or are you like, okay, we've got enough of the music we're doing and the sound checking and whatever, and you don't really bother to listen to anything else anymore?
Well, we just did a UK run with Cold Bones, and I loved watching them every night. They were incredible. It was just like, I'm not the biggest post rock fan, but I've just always been sort of casually into it. But those guys just blew me away. So I was watching them every night.
We didn't book anything Friday and Saturday
Yeah.
this weekend, so we could come to Euroblast and watch bands.
Yeah, I mean, I have to be honest. I mean, a lot of the time we're not usually listening to a lot of other bands, because you're right. I think that you do kind of hit this overload point where you go, all we're doing is thinking about and playing music. And sometimes you just need that switch off time.
It's too much.
Yeah,
You just can't find a brewery or something. You know?
exactly. Indulge in other things. But yeah, this time around, we've all been trying to get out and see more stuff, and yeah, there's been a lot
I
of.
think we've had a little bit more time up our sleeves. It's been a little less stressful. So
That's good.
it's when you don't have so much other stuff to worry about. It kind of, you can go, oh, okay, I've got an hour, so let's go check out some bands. But
Yeah.
when it's like bam, 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 full on, you're just like, oh, I can't handle this.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is to be bombarded with metal for another hour or 2 hours.
Let's listen to some death metal, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We did that last tour. Remember we had days off and we went to Tilburg to Little Devil and we watched some black metal bands the whole time.
So maybe this isn't true. Maybe we actually do see more than we say we do. Yeah.
It depends.
Yeah.
But I will say that, when you have late night driving escapades, Emperor is pretty awesome to keep you awake.
Yeah, that helps. So, thank you.
Ash is like, no.
So it's also very democratic what you hear when you're driving.
No, it's usually
Not at all.
not at all.
It's usually Danny going, what is this rubbish?
And then you want to tell him, no, that's wonderful.
Variety is the spice of life.
I feel it's a case of when you're driving, it's like driver rules. Like driver tends to get first call,
I agree with
Yeah.
and then we take requests as we go. So it's a little. The driver cracks the whip on the music. Yeah. I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
If you're going to do all the driving, you should choose the music.
A thing that I've been asking for a long time now is probably no answer, right or wrong to it, but what is the thing called artist?
Like, what is an artist?
What is an
What
artist?
does it mean to be
What
an
does?
artist?
Yeah,
That
maybe.
is
Are
very
you an
broad.
artist?
Yes, I think
Yes.
so. Because when we write what we want to hear. We're not thinking about we're not really thinking about our audience when we write at all, are we? We're thinking about ourselves first and foremost, and how we can make the best song that we can make. So I think when you're not working to a brief in something creative, then you're being an artist.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I will add that might be a small spanner to that works is that we have had moments where we've said this doesn't sound like Voyager, and I think Voyager has a particular brand or sound, and I think bands find this, that when they're writing, they'll probably write a bunch of songs and some of them just don't suit what the band is attempting to do. So we don't necessarily have a brief, but I think we have a sense of what Voyager sounds like, I guess, specifically. Because we've sort of treaded out into like almost 80s, pure 80s pop, like no metal at all. And we've gone, is this Voyager though? And sometimes it isn't. So, you know, but that's fine. It's not that we don't like it, it's just that we don't think that that's what our audience necessarily or our brand wants to.
It would be hard to build a set list around that song.
Exactly.
Where are we going to put that?
Nowhere.
No, that's more what you're thinking about, really, isn't it? Where does it
That's
fit
true.
with the other songs?
Definitely.
Does this fit with what we're doing rather than what do people want to hear?
Well, yeah, the way an album flows is quite important. If you're going to write an album, then it's got to be cohesive, and sometimes certain things don't work.
I've got a
in
perfect
there, so you-
example of that was Sign of the Times,
Yeah.
off the new album. We
Yeah.
wrote that during Ghost Mile.
Even earlier.
Or V?
V, I think, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was for, I think it was for Ghost Mile, and we were just like, this is not going to fit on Ghost Mile, because Ghost Mile was quite a dark record, and this is pop song like do. We're like, yeah. And then when we were writing this album, we were like, this song fits perfect on this album, so it's all good. Yeah.
But yeah, I think you do hit the nail on the head, Ash, that I think it's about we write and assess whether we like what we're writing first and foremost. And then, of course, we do have the whole thing of, does this suit a brand? Does this suit Voyager? Will our audience take to this well? That becomes a very secondary part. It's still present, but it's absolutely secondary.
We're very fortunate that people like to come along on the ride with us. Yeah.
So then, thank you for the interview.
Thank you.
Thanks for the music, and looking forward to hearing all the stuff.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
And action.